In an alternate Earth, everyone acquires a unique superpower at 18, ranging from flight to elemental control. However, at 25, Jen remains without one, which fills her with bitterness. During a job interview, she discovers the interviewer's ability to compel truth-telling, causing Jen to inadvertently reveal embarrassing details and miss the opportunity. Later that evening, Jen has a casual encounter with Luke, who promptly exits through the window immediately after, leaving Jen feeling unappreciated due to his predictable behavior. The next day, Jen's roommate Carrie is at work in a lawyer's office where her unique ability allows her to temporarily host the souls of the deceased, assisting lawyers in solving cases. However, this unconventional practice often frustrates clients who see her involvement as a hindrance. Returning home in the afternoon, Jen finds a lost cat at her doorstep and warmly invites it inside. Soon after, she spots Carrie's boyfriend Cash trying on a homemade superhero costume and teasingly mocks him. Embarrassed, Cash uses his power to rewind time and quickly closes the door to avoid Jen's gaze. Shortly after, Carrie joins them, visibly upset and expressing exhaustion from clients blaming her. Jen suggests Carrie consider quitting, but Carrie explains she can't because she needs to support Cash until he finds a job. Then to lighten the mood, Carrie channels Hitler so they can mock him. Later, Carrie has a date with Gordon, who refuses to shake her hand without a glove because he can make people climax instantly, with just a touch. After a pleasant dinner together, they head to Jen's place. However, Gordon opts not to use his power, determined to demonstrate he can naturally be a good partner. He kisses her through a barrier and insists on keeping gloves on during intimate moments, but his clumsiness forces Jen to feign enjoyment. Later, Gordon prepares for sleep by placing a pillow between himself and Jen to avoid accidental contact. Meanwhile, Cash and Carrie are on the street when an invisible assailant snatches Carrie's phone and demands her purse. Instead of using his ability to reverse time, Cash throws his wallet at the thief and quickly escorts Carrie to safety. Reflecting on the incident, Cash acknowledges that thwarting the robber brought him a sense of satisfaction, igniting his desire to pursue a superhero role. The next morning, Jen wakes up with the intention of touching Gordon but pauses when she sees the cat jump onto the bed. The cat ends up touching Gordon first, startling him awake with a loud expression of his passion. Disgusted by the situation, Gordon departs, asserting that they are not compatible. Later, over breakfast, the three decide to adopt the cat and playfully name him Jizzlord, jesting about his unexpected antics on the bed. In the evening, Jen takes a cab to her half-sister's birthday party. The driver has the ability to foresee people's deaths but refuses to divulge specifics, cryptically warning Jen to watch out for bears instead. During the ride, she receives a call from her father, reminding her of her responsibilities as a sister. Upon reaching the venue, Jen reunites with her mother Mary, whose power to control technology often eludes her, and her partner Ian, who can sense emotions. The celebration centers around Jen's half-sister Andy, who is marking her 18th birthday that night. Jen unintentionally sparks a disagreement by questioning whether Andy will manifest any powers, prompting Ian to use his ability to diffuse the tension. As Andy blows out the candles, she eagerly anticipates her newfound abilities, only to be disappointed when nothing happens. Jen initially revels in this moment, but her satisfaction is short-lived as Andy inadvertently tears the refrigerator door off its hinges while opening it. Excited by her unexpected display of strength, Andy starts to showcase her newfound ability, leaving a bitter Jen to leave the room, nursing a drink. At that moment, Jen resolves to visit Luke, who has been ignoring her messages. She finds him dining with another woman who has the ability to shapeshift but seldom uses it, emphasizing her natural beauty, which bothers Jen. Later, Luke takes the woman flying, prompting Jen to demand the same experience. The flight is brief, and Luke abruptly ends their relationship, asserting that Jen cannot love anyone if she doesn't love herself. On her way home, Jen seeks solace by calling her father, only to discover upon arrival that he has passed away. Carrie summons her father's spirit to provide Jen with the comfort she needs. The following day, Jen and Carrie visit the Discovery Clinic to explore treatments that might awaken Jen's dormant powers. However, they find the treatments are too costly for Jen to afford. That night, while Jen sleeps, Jizzlord briefly transforms into a human before reverting to a cat, unnoticed by Jen. Seeking another strategy, Jen decides to try inducing her powers through stress. She joins her friends at a restaurant to tackle the spiciest dish on the menu but struggles to handle it and rushes to a nearby store to gulp down a whole bottle of milk. Unfortunately, Luke witnesses the scene, and security cameras capture her embarrassing ordeal. The next day, Carrie accompanies Jen to a dentist's appointment in another attempt to trigger Jen's powers through stress. Jen tries to flee, but Carrie insists, and they are greeted by ominous music playing in the dentist's office. The dentist has the ability to evoke a person's soundtrack, and when she demonstrates her gentle touch, Jen's music shifts from ominous to soothing. However, the dentist reveals Jen needs fillings, causing her soundtrack to turn frightening once more. To ease her anxiety, the dentist administers medication. Meanwhile, Cash contacts an agency to place an advertisement seeking superheroes. In another part of the office, Jizzlord briefly shifts into a human form again, struggling to walk upright. He scratches at the door to get Cash's attention, but by the time Cash arrives, Jizzlord has reverted to his feline state. Back with Jen, she finishes her appointment in a daze from the medication. Carrie escorts her outside, where they are suddenly approached by a masked figure who forcibly pushes Jen into a car trunk. It turns out to be Cash, who orchestrated this mock kidnapping with Carrie to induce stress. The duo decides to stop for lunch, leaving Jen to stew in her anxiety. In her medicated state, Jen leaves a voicemail for Luke confessing her love for him. Cash and Carrie are so distracted that they fail to notice their car being towed until it's too late. Carrie calls Jen, asking for her PIN location, and as they rush to the impound lot, Cash reveals the car belongs to his mother and he doesn't have a license to retrieve it legally. Sneaking into the lot, they realize they lack the car key. To complicate matters, Jen's medication wears off, causing her to panic. With no other option, they contact Andy, who insists Jen ask for help politely. Pretending civility, Jen convinces Andy to effortlessly open the trunk. However, Jen impulsively tries to confront Andy, prompting Carrie to step in and separate the sisters. Suddenly, a car horn interrupts them, revealing Mary and Ian have arrived to pick them up. While Mary scolds her daughter, Jen remembers leaving a voicemail for Luke and urgently asks her mom to delete it. Despite Mary's best efforts, she accidentally plays the message aloud through the car's speakers. Andy suggests Jen spam Luke to divert his attention from the voicemail. Upon returning home, Jen begins taking risque photos to send to Luke when she notices Jizzlord transforming into a man, startling her into fleeing the room. Amid her anxiety, Jen wonders if she has the ability to transform animals by exposing herself. Joined by her friends, they discover the man explains he's a shapeshifter trapped in his cat form. He then embraces Cash, expressing delight that humans can finally perceive his true form, while also revealing his amnesia. The trio continues to humorously refer to him as Jizzlord and asks numerous questions, piecing together snippets of his fragmented memory. They learn that he has been in cat form for approximately 3 years. Jen insists they care for him until his memory returns. Amidst this, Jen receives a text from Luke, who has seen the provocative pictures and heard the awkward voicemail, leading him to view Jen as eccentric. Later that evening, Jen takes a stroll and encounters a dog, testing her hypothesis by exposing herself. However, the dog remains unchanged, and its owner witnesses the incident as well. The next morning, the friends realize Jizzlord has forgotten how to use many basic household items, indicating he will need substantial help. At Carrie's workplace, she channels the soul of a famous singer who declines a contract offer to have their music played on cruise ship elevators, opting instead to return to the music industry. Impressed, the manager offers Carrie a role where she can channel deceased celebrities to perform once more, an offer Carrie eagerly accepts. When they arrive at the recording studio, Carrie calls Jen for moral support, promising compensation. Inspired, Jen arrives at the studio pretending to be Carrie's manager and successfully negotiates a lucrative deal for her friend. However, during the recording session, Carrie channels the challenging and misogynistic personality of the singer they sought to revive. The ghost even asks Jen for help in recalling his lyrics. After he vanishes, Carrie searches for his songs and discovers they are all racist and misogynistic. Uncomfortable with this discovery, Carrie considers quitting, but Jen persuades her to stay for the money. Hoping the forgetful ghost won't notice, Carrie modifies the songs slightly to soften their offensive content. Unfortunately, the singer vehemently dislikes the altered messages and causes a scene, resulting in Carrie and Jen being promptly fired. Back at home, Cash conducts interviews for his superhero team. Seb demonstrates his ability to summon sea creatures but struggles to control them, accidentally sending a fish flying through a window. Despite this, Cash recruits him due to his wealthy background. Ade displays his power to phase through solid objects but gets his hand stuck in a wall. Nevertheless, Cash sees potential and adds him to the team. Another candidate with magnetism inadvertently attracts every object in the room, leading Cash to reject her, along with a person who can only transform things into PDFs and another whose eye lasers prove ineffective. Randall impresses Cash by demonstrating his ability to 3D print objects using his rear, creating a small figurine. Gregor then showcases his super speed by retrieving a postcard from the British Museum in just 1 second. As Cash prepares for their inaugural meeting, Jizzlord unexpectedly presents him with a dead pigeon. Concerned about potential embarrassment, Cash sends Jizzlord to do the grocery shopping. However, overwhelmed by the experience, Jizzlord faints upon encountering feminine products. The compassionate store clerk assists him and provides a book on women's anatomy to help him understand the items. During the meeting with his new superhero recruits, Cash notices Gregor taking charge of writing on the board and dominating the discussion. Cash begins to feel threatened, sensing Gregor's attempt to usurp his leadership position. After Randall creates a marker using his rear, the group discusses their approach to rescuing a woman. Gregor asserts he should lead because he respects women, while Cash argues his expertise in women's anatomy makes him the better choice. Seb adds an inappropriate drawing to the board, challenging Cash to locate a specific spot, which he struggles with until Jizzlord returns and assists him, solidifying Cash's leadership role. When Carrie and Jen return home, they hear unusual noises and discover Cash and Jizzlord engaged in a game they've devised using feminine products. Intrigued, they join in the fun. Sometime later, the Magnet Woman returns to retrieve her forgotten umbrella and inadvertently becomes magnetically attached to Jizzlord, revealing he's microchipped. The group decides to consult Dr. Doolittle, a veterinarian known for communicating with animals. Overwhelmed by the constant chatter of animals, Doolittle uses headphones to find peace. Upon examining Jizzlord, Doolittle locates the microchip and provides them with the previous owner's address. Later, Cash and Carrie are about to become intimate when Cash receives a mission text from his new superhero team. He postpones their moment together, leaving Carrie feeling hurt. Cash uses his power to rewind time and deliver a Kinder message before departing. Distraught, Carrie seeks solace in cleaning Jen's room, where her frustration prompts Jen to realize Cash hasn't fulfilled Carrie's needs in some time. At that moment, Jen discovers a sock left by Luke and sends him a picture of it. She also finds Gordon's glove. Jen suggests to Carrie that she should visit Gordon and request him to use his powers, but Carrie refuses to resort to cheating. Later, Jen and Jizzlord finally visit the address retrieved from the microchip, only to discover that the owner has passed away. During their visit, they hear Tito the Pomeranian barking, and Jizzlord identifies him as someone he has encountered before, describing him as evil. They decide to liberate Tito from his owner and bring him to Dr. Doolittle, who can translate the dog's messages. They learn that Tito despises Jizzlord and refuses to cooperate until they fulfill his desire for a dream day out. Doolittle, needing a break, decides to join them on their escapade. Their adventure takes them to a club where Tito revels in the attention of beautiful women. The group indulges in drinks and even some stimulants. During a private dance where a woman duplicates herself, Jen and Jizzlord find the situation uncomfortable and hold hands for support. Doolittle becomes heavily intoxicated and begins to harass the dancers, resulting in the bouncers ejecting the entire group from the club. Fortunately, Tito is thrilled and reminisces about frequent encounters with Jizzlord in an alley behind a renowned pub. He then requests to be released so he can finally experience freedom, but tragically, he is struck by a car moments after stepping away. Following Tito's accident, Jen and Jizzlord visit the alley to search for clues. Jizzlord surprises himself by recalling the pub's menu, prompting Jen to suggest they enter the pub and speak with the landlady. However, Jizzlord becomes overwhelmed and flees in a panic. Meanwhile, Cash's superhero team attempts to assist a woman on the street but inadvertently startles her, triggering her goo-based powers and causing her to become angry with them. Shortly after, a man approaches seeking help as he's locked out of his apartment, leading them to choose Ade for the mission. Ade has to strip off his clothes to use his power, but when he starts to phase through the wall, he gets stuck, with his rear on display. Hi movie buffs, don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, share, and bell button. It's free and it really helps. You'll be notified of each new recap. Gregor opts to leave Cash with Ade and takes the rest of the team to a bar. Soon after, Cash receives an urgent call from Gregor requesting assistance. Cash rushes to find the team, leaving Ade on his own. Meanwhile, the group finds themselves caught in a difficult altercation outside the bar. Gregor urges Cash to use his time manipulation abilities to rewind and avoid the conflict, but Cash's power only allows him to go back 10 seconds, proving insufficient no matter how many attempts he makes. Suddenly, a thug targets Cash, who feigns ignorance of the group and flees the scene. Back at home, Carrie reaches a breaking point due to her dissatisfaction and decides to visit Gordon under the pretense of returning his glove. Overcome with emotion, she breaks down in tears and pleads for his help, ultimately admitting she cannot continue this way. To make amends, she praises Gordon as a hero for supporting her, which lifts his spirits and prompts him to assist other women going forward. Meanwhile, Carrie reconnects with Cash. Jen encounters Jizzlord outside their apartment and informs him that their lead at the pub was a dead end. They share a moment of bonding over their shared anxieties about self-discovery, but their connection is interrupted by a text from Luke requesting his sock. The following day, Ade remains visibly stuck in the wall. Meanwhile, Jen and Carrie visit their old high school for Andy's graduation, where Carrie daydreams about her ideal graduation scenario. During a conversation with another student's mother, Mary humorously suggests that Jen can read minds, but their laughter turns awkward when Jen bursts into giggles, supposedly in response to the woman's telepathic message about a deceased teacher. Sensing distress nearby, Ian enhances his empathetic abilities by blindfolding himself to pinpoint the source. Frustrated, Jen steers Carrie into a closet to indulge in the alcohol they had stashed there years ago. Their moment is interrupted by Rebecca, a former schoolmate who used to bully them but has since become kind and works as a teacher. Rebecca reveals her power to revisit memories, which has helped her confront her past behavior and become a better person. Jen initially doubts Rebecca's transformation and jokingly asks for money as an apology. After Rebecca reimburses Jen, she notices Carrie's tension and takes her to the staff room for tea. Alone with Carrie, Rebecca points out that Jen was a neglectful friend, citing school memories. On the day Carrie was to receive an award, Jen kept her company while taking a pregnancy test. Later, during graduation, Jen borrowed Carrie's gown to hide her dropout status from their mom but failed to return it on time, ruining Carrie's graduation photo. Rebecca advises Carrie to stand up for herself. Meanwhile, Jen hides in the bathroom to drink and overhears Andy confiding in her girlfriend. Andy admits lying about getting into the conservatoire and no longer dating her girlfriend due to her super strength. When Andy's ex leaves, Jen confronts Andy, who promises to keep the secret. They return to the party where Jen coerces Andy into performing the family dance, embarrassing her. Jen then makes Andy read an embarrassing speech upon receiving her award. Furious, Andy retaliates by mocking Jen, prompting Jen to reveal her secrets. A devastated Andy runs away in tears, and Ian realizes that the distressed person he sensed was his daughter. It's then Carrie's turn to give her speech, but she struggles to speak as Jen's family argument echoes into the auditorium. Carrie acknowledges Rebecca was right about Jen and retreats to the bathroom to hide. Jen follows and vents about her frustrations, prompting Carrie to finally confront her about her selfish behavior. Carrie points out that lacking powers isn't an excuse for being a bad person, sparking an argument that culminates in Carrie storming off, leaving Jen in tears alone. Back at the apartment, Jizzlord finds a despondent Cash in the tub, feeling guilty about his actions the previous night. Jizzlord tries to cheer him up by brushing his hair and showing him funny penguin videos, but their browsing leads them to a viral video of Cash running from the fight, plunging Cash back into despair. Over the following days, Jen and Carrie refuse to communicate directly, so Jizzlord acts as an intermediary. One morning, Jen discovers red dots labeled on most of the apartment's items, indicating Carrie has marked them to prevent Jen from using them. Since Jen rarely buys anything for their home, she settles for a breakfast of red onion. Afterward, she heads to a discovery clinic with a determined resolve to undergo tests. While filling out paperwork, she meets Hannah, another 20-something without powers. The girls bond over their shared experiences of being powerless. Later, they encounter a woman with hair-changing abilities and feeling bitter. Jen plays a prank by cutting her ponytail in the bathroom. Realizing their mistake, they quickly flee the scene. Back at the apartment, Carrie discovers Cash's embarrassing video and advises him to apologize to his friends and start anew. Encouraged, Cash sets out to find his teammates. In his absence, Jizzlord seizes the opportunity to ask Carrie about the ongoing conflict between her and Jen. As Carrie vents about Jen, she stumbles upon their puzzle collection, reminiscing about their joyful times together and regretting not finishing them. When Jen returns, she claims a new best friend and asserts ownership of the jigsaw collection, prompting Carrie to retaliate by refusing to summon Jen's dad anymore. Meanwhile, Cash visits Seb, who plans to leave for Florida to escape the recent events. Cash extends his apology to Seb with a heartfelt gesture of chocolate, bringing Seb to tears as he requests to join Cash. Together, they visit Ade, who accepts Cash's apology and agrees to reunite the team. Their next stop is Gregor's, where Cash attempts to apologize, only to find out Gregor and Randall have formed their team with the other rejects. Gregor mocks his former teammates, leading Cash to challenge him to a fight. Despite Gregor's super speed, Cash loses quickly. In frustration, Cash decides to rewind time and punch Gregor as soon as he opens the door, then invites Randall to join them. Meanwhile, Jen meets with Hannah and is surprised to learn she no longer wants to go to the clinic. They decide to spend the day together having fun and discuss the idea of forming a group for those without powers while shooting toy darts at flying people. Luke flies by, prompting Jen to hide the toy gun, upsetting Hannah. To make it up to her, Jen agrees to sneak into the clinic with Hannah to vandalize the offices, even going so far as to urinate on a desk. During their escapade, Hannah discovers she has teleportation powers, which makes Jen jealous. Hannah assures her their friendship won't change, but when they're caught by a guard, Hannah disappears instantly. Back at the apartment, Jen checks social media and is dismayed to see Hannah hanging out with Luke. Jizzlord informs her that Carrie wants to finish the puzzle together, suggesting they should reconcile. Jen visits Carrie, and they awkwardly start working on the puzzle, gradually repairing their friendship. The following day, Carrie accompanies Jen to the clinic to complete her paperwork. Trying to show more consideration, Jen asks Carrie about her issues, and Carrie reveals that her relationship with Cash is struggling now that he has his team back. Later, Jen attempts to sell her eggs to raise money for her treatment, but she finds no buyers. Watching Jizzlord gives her an idea. She proposes that he enter a cat show and win, thanks to his human-like intelligence. However, Jizzlord refuses to transform because he fears getting stuck again. Meanwhile, Carrie returns to her job at the firm and channels Charles II, who persistently flirts with her. Carrie is flattered and intrigued by him, and later at home, she summons him again, and they spend the entire afternoon chatting. Using a mirror, Carrie shows Charles how she looks, and he continues to flatter her. Later, she plans a whole day date with Cash, but he has a mission and promises to see her later. Disappointed, Carrie takes Charles's ghost to the museum, where he admires the paintings done by him. Charles begins flirting with Carrie, and she nearly kisses his portrait, but a guard intervenes just in time. Back at the apartment, Carrie hears Jen scream as she discovers Jizzlord has eaten cat food to transform again. He has also left a recording agreeing to participate in the cat show. When they try to register him, Jen uses the cat's name from the chip, and excitement spreads because this cat has always been a favorite in the contest. Jen searches old show videos and discovers that Jizzlord used to showcase his talent in dancing. She tries to teach him the moves now, but Jizzlord doesn't understand her, and she considers giving up. However, she listens to Jizzlord's encouraging message again and decides to make him proud, devising a plan. When it's time for their performance, Jen attempts to get the cat to jump through a hoop, but he doesn't cooperate. Instead, she starts dancing, and Jizzlord transforms into a human to join her. They have a wonderful dance together and enjoy themselves, but the judges do not approve, and they are asked to leave. As they exit, Jizzlord tries to apologize, but Jen surprises him by kissing him instead. In an abandoned building, Cash's team is searching for some dealers and unexpectedly encounters Gregor's team. An argument ensues until they hear footsteps, prompting everyone to hide in a cupboard. Hours pass, and neither team wants to emerge because Cash is unwilling to share the credit, leading the others to mock him for prioritizing his ego over his date. Back at the apartment, Carrie is having dinner with Charles II and thoroughly enjoying herself. Just as things are about to escalate, Cash arrives and announces his decision to quit the superhero business, which initially pleases Carrie. However, as Cash settles for pizza and YouTube again, Carrie begins to question whether they are truly compatible. The next day, newspapers reported that both superhero teams collaborated to apprehend the dealers. Jen wakes up to find Jizzlord painting the bedroom wall, assuming they are now a couple who will live together. After explaining to him that this is moving too fast, Jen and Carrie have a heart-to-heart. Jen reconnects with her dad and then advises Carrie to be honest with Cash. Carrie attempts to break up with him, but Cash surprises her by announcing he is throwing a party for her, so she decides to postpone the breakup. In the evening, Carrie is deeply moved to see that Cash has decorated everything to celebrate their relationship. However, Jen reminds her to assert herself and stand up for what she truly wants. Then Jen is surprised to find Mary there, criticizing every detail of the room and Jen's appearance. Annoyed, she redirects Mary to talk to another guest who turns out to be Gordon, looking more stylish and confident. Mary mingles and ends up conversing with Jizzlord, who reveals to her that Jen cannot afford the clinic. Hurt, Mary cannot believe her daughter kept this from the family. Meanwhile, Carrie finally confronts Cash, expressing that she feels more like his mother than his girlfriend. Cash asks for advice on how to improve, so Carrie suggests he get a job. Cash uses his power to rewind time and impresses Carrie by pretending to arrange a job interview over the phone. However, once Carrie is out of sight, Cash retreats to the bathroom with Randall to panic because he's been avoiding the impending breakup conversation. It turns out Cash has been awake for 28 hours and has been reversing time every time Carrie tries to break up with him. Randall gives him an energy drink to sustain his power, and they go out to buy multiple cans. Jen watches them from a distance until she runs into Luke, who expresses concern because she has been ignoring his texts. Suddenly, Jizzlord interrupts and introduces himself as Jen's boyfriend, prompting her to pull him aside to reprimand him for moving too quickly and suggesting they take a break. Just then, Cash informs her that someone is in her room, and Jen rushes in to find her mother hacking into her computer. An argument ensues about their troubled relationship, but tensions ease when they discuss Jen's deceased father. Feeling remorseful, Jen asks Mary to stay. Meanwhile, Cash attempts to dance with Carrie, who notices a withered flower in his pocket. Her flower remains fresh, leading her to realize Cash has been manipulating time frequently. Carrie and Jen hide together and vent their frustrations about Cash, unaware that Jizzlord is preparing to leave the apartment for good. Jen confides in Carrie about the energy drinks, prompting Carrie to sneak into the bathroom and dispose of the cans in the toilet while Jen distracts Cash. Tearfully, Carrie finally breaks up with Cash, and despite his attempts to rewind time, he cannot prevent the breakup from occurring. Meanwhile, Jen is thrilled when Luke suggests they go flying together, but he refuses to display affection in front of others and takes her outside to talk. He begins criticizing Jizzlord, which makes Jen realize his jealousy. Defending Jizzlord, Jen understands how much he means to her and decides to end things with Luke, returning to the party alone. Desperate to find Jizzlord, Jen searches everywhere and ends up chasing a cat down the street in the rain. Apologizing to the cat, she jokingly asks it to be her boyfriend, only to have Jizzlord surprise her by appearing behind her. They share a passionate kiss and return to the apartment, where Jen introduces Jizzlord as her boyfriend. Mary wants to assist Jen with the clinic expenses but finds it too costly. Gordon steps in and offers to cover the expenses, having amassed wealth from selling his services. The girls embrace in celebration, and Jizzlord hugs Gordon, accidentally causing him to stain his pants. The next morning, Jizzlord goes to the grocery store and is identified by a girl who points him out to her mother, causing her to drop her groceries in recognition of his face. Thanks for watching. If there's anything you would like to see, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe.